job training and entrepreneurship support for survivors of human trafficking. All right, we'll just get right into it, Mrs. Sanusi. All right, so what economic empowerment initiatives have been the most effective when it comes to supporting survivors of human trafficking?
Okay, thank you for the question.
Yes,
Let me first of all emphasize the fact that because they have been victimized, it is not just one support. Economic support is side by side other support. And as we know, each person is unique and different, with interests, with traits, with life, with experiences. So in supporting or assisting traffic victims, there's what we call individual care plan. So not one size fits all. So you're asking me which is the most efficient or Let me tell you something. I think sometimes it's maybe hairdressing, sometimes catering. You know, it varies. You know why it varies? Because everybody has what they love, and because they are different. And again, because of availability of maybe formal or informal, because of issues of formal or informal education. So some of them just want something very simple that will not disturb them. Maybe like hairdressing, like tailoring. But all these things also require skills and ability. So we also look at the environment where the victim or the survivor rather now is going to settle, is going to be reintegrated into. For instance, I can't be telling a survivor who is going to be reintegrated in the north to be selling pig meat. I hope you understand what that means. And I'm not going to tell a survivor who is going to go to like Edo State to be reintegrated, to be doing roasted yam, because I heard they don't do that openly. So it depends on the environment and it depends on the individual care plan of that survivor. So sometimes some of them can even go into ICT, some of them have even gone to event planning, you see. Depends on what they love. But I know commonly is often catering, hairdressing, tailoring.
I mean, just building on what you've said now, that there are certain factors that sometimes, contribute to what kind of skills you can be able to give a survivor, right? Which leads us to the next question then. How can, whatever empowerment you have to give, how can it then be tailored to meet the unique needs and goals of each survivor?
Okay, so a survivor has gone through an experience that is traumatic, that is cruel, that is evil. So one of the things you have to do is to make that survivor ventilate and relieve all these things. And you look at what the survivor was lacking previously or during that experience. For instance, a survivor could have been predisposed to human trafficking because of poverty, because of housing, because of education, because of, all those kind of things, because of ignorance. So you see, if a survivor doesn't have a good place, let me say hygienic and safe place to live, maybe because of communal clashes and all those things that expose the person to human trafficking, you have to address that. So there are issues you have to address. You address housing, you address shelter, you address mental health, you address family tracing. Some survivors can't even find their families any longer. You have to address that so that the person will feel safe and whole to concentrate on what they want. So one of the things you do is to sit with the survivor and do individual care plan. What do you love? Some people may even be saying, I was dreaming to be a runner. That means the person has skills within him. And I was dreaming to complete my secondary school certificate. These things also contribute to deciding what to do with the survivor. So you don't push it on them. You don't force it down their throat. So a survivor said she would like to be making wigs. And let me tell you, she made so much wigs that she even had to sell to someone who exported it. Can you see? So some people are just into a lot of things. It depends on what the survivor loves. There's agriculture. There's in agriculture chain, the chain is large, from the transport to the plant, to the farming itself, to the distribution, to the, making things. So it depends on the survivor. You have to sit with what that survivor prefers. be preferred. When you sometimes you say, they don't even have preferences, you can look at, okay, this is what is available here. Do you get me? In this place, this is what we have. We have fish farming. We have we have candle making, perfume making, things like that. The survivor will decide and say, okay, this is what I love. Wow, I didn't think of this. So you don't force them. Once you force them, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
Like Hausa would say, it won't work.
Yes,
it's not going to work. So you allow them to make the choice and also show them what is available. You can see available in your own organization. If that thing is not available, what she wants, you make a referral. We had a survivor who wanted to do welding. We don't do welding in our organization. We have to make a referral. There's leather and shoemaking, make referral to help the survivor.
Oh, great. So it means that the opportunities are endless, but there are certain just factors you have to consider as it concerns each survivor. And while you were talking, it just occurred to me that sometimes the biggest challenge most of them face is the trauma. They are yet to get over what they've experienced, so it's difficult for them to see themselves as better and want better for themselves. But from your experience, Ma, what are some of the biggest challenges survivors of human trafficking face, especially when it comes to access to economic opportunities?
Okay, one of the things is that trauma you're talking about. Trauma. So you have to make a lot of trauma-informed care. Okay, I want to give you an instance. Like we are talking now, you are a journalist, and suddenly something happens in your studio. I'm just saying God forbid. I remember one day on one of the national TV we were watching, and then there was a loud noise in the studio. Everybody's camped out. So once you have an experience that you cannot listen, number one, it is sudden. Please underline that word. Sudden. It is beyond your control. It makes you helpless. Helpless makes you hopeless. This is what trauma is all about. Open wound. Once you don't address that, it is difficult because it changes your identity. The identity changes once that experience comes. If something happens that maybe you have to pull off your cloth, maybe there's fire, you have to pull it off and even run away naked. It has changed who you are. You'll be wondering, who am I? So you have to realize that you have to make that person feel. So healing does not come once. It's not sudden. It's not something that you can determine how long, the duration. So I'm going to paint a picture now. If fat comes in contact with fire, it melts, isn't it? If nylon comes in contact with fire, it also burns. You can see it is difficult to remember what that nature of that nylon was. If paper comes in contact with fire, it becomes like ash. You can see. So everybody needs to go through this process of healing, and healing has to do with therapy, because I'm a therapist. I'm a mental health therapist, by the way. We don't administer drugs, we administer healing. So now, what made you hopeless? So because you were hopeless and helpless, it makes you disconnect and powerless. Can you see? So you have to connect and empower. You can see the secret now. Connect and empower. If I were a dancer before whatever happened to me happened, you can help me go back to my dancing skills. You can put me around music. You see, people will dance, nod their heads, sing. If you have to remove the victim from the traumatic situation, from the unsafe situation. But the problem is, the biggest battle is always in the mind. So you have to address what we call solical healing, because where the soul is, there is the mind, the will, and emotion. That is what is being disturbed and triggered. So you have to take care of this. Maybe it could be through the word of God. It could be through connection. It could be through watching movie, cooking, gardening, walking, running, a lot of things. You see, therapy is endless. So it depends on what is going to work for you. So if I ask you, what do you like to do? You know what you love to do is different from what I love to do. Like me, I like to write music. I like to write small drama for children. I like to direct them. I love to work with children. Because once your childhood also contributes to what experience they are going through in trauma. Once you don't address that, it should be a big hole. So sometimes we just think, how could you just leave it? They don't want to work. No. Sometimes it's because the trauma has not been addressed. So it is empowered the victims. So you actually need to empower the victim. And once the victim picks up his life, it's going to be like a snap of, you say, wow, can you see she's doing well?
Yeah.
She's doing so well. You see people, they can't concentrate, they are thinking, and sometimes they are restless. There's a lot burning within them.
Yeah.
They really have to, have a way to ventilate. And sometimes it's talk therapy. They are the ones that have the experience. They own the experience. Allow them to allow them to empty, like I call it excavation. Allow them to empty these experiences. Once they experience it, because the way they see themselves is different from how they ought to be. They will say, can you see, since 15 years, I'm now 21, I've not even finished my primary school. Can you imagine? Trauma actually makes victims fixated.
Yeah.
They could be fixated in that age of the violence experience. Like, for instance, if someone was raped at the age of 7, that person may still be fixated at that age of 7, rather than go to be maybe a teenager or adolescent or adult, or to be positively.
I mean, whenever we start talking about this, topic, there's always so much to unpack, and the essence of this program is actually to give as many people help and hope as possible, as much as possible. So if you have a question, if you have a suggestion, if you have something you just want to say, opening the phone lines, 090-7353-0044. That is the only number I can pick calls, so please don't call the second line. 090-7353-0044. We are still talking about how you can empower survivors with necessary skills and provide them with economic opportunities. And we've been talking to Imalbong Ladipo Sanusi. She's the director of Whatclef. And speaking of Whatclef, it seems your organization is it's into helping survivors integrate better into the society. So can you share examples of successful initiatives that you've been able to launch for survivors of human trafficking in the past?
Okay, so Whatclef was established 25 years ago, and one of the successful initiatives is school sensitization with the National Youth Service Corps scheme. So we have what we call Whatclef Anti-Trafficking Brigade in schools. These coppers are trained, and they also train the trainer program. Okay. So they go into schools. So, for instance, this mental health issues we are talking about, one of the experiences they had was a girl who is 12 years old who came out to talk and say that she didn't know it was trauma she was going through because in her life she has never smiled. And when she was asked, why have you never smiled? She said because her parents hate her. They don't love her. They have never hugged her in her life. So parents had to realize that this child was being traumatized because of the own parenting style, but we don't really know what was going on. But another thing is also for children who are now they are campaigners in their school. Children understand what human trafficking is, so we call it a safe space and preventing human trafficking, child labor, and other violence and sexual and gender-based violence. So these children themselves, they are advocates. So when you hear a child, sometimes when children give the message, it rings a bell. It drives the message faster. So children are also advocates, and we also have survivors who are now self-employed. People who are big caterers. In fact, they get big works. We don't collect cover from them. And some of them are into other businesses. For instance, this clothing business, fashion and clothing. We have some who are also managers in other places. We have some who are into pizza. There's a particular one who's a very good pizza guy. He's really doing well. We have people who themselves are now in the university. Some people have gone to the level of not starting primary school, but starting it with Whatclef from primary school. I'm telling you, so it can be so frustrating, also destabilizing that somebody is starting primary school at the age of 17, but some have finished and they have finished their university now. So we have a lot of success. We have some who are now married and they are also with their husbands and children abroad. We have those who are also advertise in different programs and events. So these are things we just have to know that because you are a victim does not mean you cannot heal. That's the truth. Because you are a victim does not mean you can stay as a victim forever. Above all, we are partnering with a media campaign against human trafficking, not MICAT. We are partnering with them for survivors rehabilitation and especially trauma-informed care. We are partnering with them. These children also in their groups are speakers. They have a parliament. They do their own sitting and also addressing issues. So we have what we call family tracing with in conjunction with NAPTIP. We have what we call excited sensitization and also partnering with the media like you. So there's a whole lot to do to bring in a whole lot of society.
Absolutely amazing, ma'am. Absolutely, and well done. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Sorry, a call came in, but I couldn't pick because you were saying something really important and I didn't want to cut in. So please, if you called, you can call back again. 090-7353 0044 090-7353 0044. That is the number to call, okay? And you can weigh in on what we're talking about. If you would rather send us a text message or a WhatsApp message, you can do that to 090-9705-4450. That is 090-9705-4450. Once your call come in, I would inform the guest and then we can pick your call to know what you have to say. But while we wait on that, ma'am, what are some how can these initiatives like yours be replicated, or how can we scale it up to support more survivors?
Okay, so that is why I was trying to say in my last sentence that we encourage a whole of government and whole of society. Everybody, one way or the other, has a role to play. Like we say, when you see something, say something. The fact that you are a whistleblower, the fact that you called for nothing, the fact that you raise the alarm when you see a victim of human trafficking, you say, what is the victim of human trafficking? That's to do with acts, means, and purpose. The person has been violated, whether sexually, labor, or organ harvest. We raise the alarm by calling NAPTIP. And also, we partner with the media, like what you're doing, a lot of people is hearing. We partner with the religious and traditional organizations. You can see that some religious institutions have taken up the role of corporate social responsibility. They can also decide to pick a victim to make him become a survivor through any means. It could be through paying school fees, through education, through trainings, through skills acquisition. And by the way, there are other skills like soft skills these survivors need to acquire, like leadership, confidence, goal setting. These are things that they can do. So I know that there are a lot of organizations that have done so, and also there are faith-based organizations, civil society organizations like MICAT and WhatLeft. We belong to the network against child trafficking, abuse, and labor. NAPSA, that is the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Over 300 civil society all over Nigeria. And there's also a network that links West African countries, that's West Africa Coalition Against Trafficking in Persons and Smuggling of Migrant Workers. You can see, so we network. So the way you can do is to network. It's for network, it's for synergy, it's for linkages to be created, it's for referrals to be made. So if the service is not available with WhatLeft or with MICAT, we can always refer. We can always refer to other organizations. We have sister organizations who have gone to the extent that they have a water and bread factory now because they are building, cottage and small-scale industries for survivors so that they can thrive. So all we have to do is that I have a role, you have a role, and that is why there is a national referral mechanism document that everybody has to be familiar with.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. So now, in closing, what message would you like to convey to survivors of human trafficking who may or might be listening to the show at this moment?
Okay, number one, we have to let it be known to everyone that nobody is worth being a slave. That enslavement and human trafficking must end today. We must end the exploitation.
Absolutely.
And then for the survivors, there was a tip. We can trace what happened and heal. Because I know that a complete life can never be the same. But because you've been victimized does not mean you cannot become who you want to be. There's something in you. Everybody has something in him. And that something was given to the person by the Creator. We all know that we believe that there's a higher being. So there's nobody without any gift. So we have to look at the gift we have. Aside that, we have to learn other skills we can so that we can be self-reliant.
All right. So we've been talking to Ima Obong Ladipo Sanusi. She's the director of Whatclef, and she's been able to shed, some light about what they do. Ma'am, if you can just quickly share your social media platform so that in case there are people who didn't know how to approach us on the show, maybe they could send you a DM or something. Is there a social media platform they can follow you on?
Yes, on Facebook, I'm Ima Obong Sanusi. The Ima Obong without O, so you can search. I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. Okay.
All right.
I'm also on I have a platform for mental health. Imabong TikTok.
Amazing.
So I think you can just check me out on this platform.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm saying this because it's possible there are people who didn't know how to find help, and I'm glad that there are people like actually making efforts to ensure there is a better place, a saner world for even people who might have lost hope in themselves. So thank you so much, ma'am, for all you do, and thank you for.
By the way,
yes, ma'am.
You may wish to share the number to anyone who wants to talk to a therapist, who wants to hear. You may
sure.
wish to share my number.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Wish you the best of your day.
I wish you all the best. Thank you for having me this
morning.
Thank
you so much. God bless you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am. All right, and to you, our listener out there, it's always a pleasure to have you join in on I Wish I Knew radio program and drama. This is brought to you by MICAT in partnership with NAPTIP and with sponsorship by the Danish Embassy. Also in collaboration with, of course, Eagles FM 102.3 FM Abuja. We care, and that's why we're raising sensitization to ensure that we have a better world for everyone. So, Emma Obong asked that I share her number. So, in case there's anybody who would want that, let me just quickly do that. The number is 080 36 16 1672. 080 36 16 1672. Until we come your way again next time, be safe, be good, and be your brother's keeper just as much as you would want others to watch your back to. Stay safe. My name still remains